Alright, you guys, welcome back to the channel. And wow, it's really dark in here. Did I forget to pay the electric bill again? Damn. Alright, let's try this. Aha! A pretty intro background. Cool, right? I know what you're really trying to say, though. Where's the weird announcer guy with the weird voices? Where did he go? Maybe he missed the bus. Haha, you could only be so lucky. Because then you wouldn't have to sit through another awesome video with yours truly. And I know you'd be devastated. Because I know you guys come back to the channel for all my videos because you enjoy learning about lots of mental health topics. You like breaking down barriers, myth-busting myths, and yeah, whatever else we do on here, I have no idea. But anyway, good to see you all again, and welcome to another really fun video on the channel. Hopefully it will be fun and educational for you as I try to make all my videos on the channel. So, without any further ado, we are going to discuss, as you see, things I hate about being mentally ill. It should be said that these are my own opinion before anyone says anything about, where are you getting this from? All my opinions, they're in somewhat of an order of importance, but not really. So, with that being said, let's get on to the first topic. I told you, we knocked down walls in this channel. I wasn't kidding. And this is one that really needs to be knocked down. As you see, the topic number one is going to be the stigma on mental health. Needless to say, this has been around forever. This is not anything new. And this is not fun, to say the least. Now, you might be saying, where did all the stigma come from? Why is this such a prevalent thing in the mental health community? Well, my biggest theory is the lack of education and awareness, because it causes so many misconceptions and fear and leads to just all sorts of people thinking many different ways about these different topics, but they're not done out of an educated mind. They're just done out of things that they've seen or heard, and stereotypes that persist even still in today's world, which is unfortunate. And that's why there's so many great YouTube channels that I follow and watch basically every single day on YouTube here. I'll probably link some of them down below. Dr. Todd Grande, very insightful videos. He does a lot of personality videos, disorder videos, but he also does a lot of case study analysis, which are really fun to watch. Even on stuff I've never even heard of or don't really have much of an interest in, I still watch because he presents it in such a clear and factual and scientific way. Very researched, very well spoken, very well presented. And he's really one of the biggest inspirations for this channel and kind of my format and the way I like to do things. Very research-based, but still able to interject my own personal opinions, my own personal life experiences, but still try to keep things research and factual as possible so that there's as much things to learn about these topics as I can possibly give you in hopefully the shortest amount of time, although we all know that my videos tend to be a little bit long. So we're going to try to shorten this. I've already cut out several slides. This is my third time filming, by the way. And I said in the last video, and it's true, I don't go back and edit and re-record my videos and cut it all together. I don't have that kind of time. So, this is all one take. So let's get on to the next topic. So again, we said the lack of awareness and education is a huge, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, issues with the stigma on mental health. But another thing is also going to be the way that the media depictions of mental health disorders or of its treatment are often generally very exaggerated, and they're not always particularly accurate. However, if you want an example of a movie that is very accurate, at least for the time that it was, well, both the time it was based around and the time that it was actually created, which was 1975, mind you. Probably heard of this movie. It's very well known, and it's a damn good movie. Among that is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Jack Nicholson. Also Danny DeVito, I think in his first film role ever. Yes, came out in 1975, and basically one of the most famous scenes is the ECT scene, which I will show you a picture of in just a second. So spoiler alert, if you don't want to see that, you can skip ahead to whenever I go into slide number 2. If you don't want to see the picture, anything. I obviously didn't try to grab a clip of the whole scene because we'd be here for like 5 minutes watching it. And I bet you watch it at home on your own and experience it for yourself, because it's really that good. But basically in the scene, Jack Nicholson's character, R.P. McMurphy, basically undergoes ECT, electroconvulsive therapy. And of course, back in the day when this was being created, again, it came out in 75, but it's actually based around the mid-50s in a mental institution. And so the way the procedure was shown in the film is very accurate to how it was done in real life at the time. No anesthesia, no muscle relaxants, unlike today. However, the problem is when you see this, and you see the full scene, and of course you see him seconds after this clip, right before they fire up the voltage in between the nice marshmallows he has on either side of his head. Yeah, you can see him basically grimacing in a lot of pain because he's literally seizing, because that's how the procedure works. It induces seizure with electro current through the brain. And of course the big plastic thing in his mouth is basically to prevent him from biting his damn tongue off while he seizes and writhes all over the table while being held down by like 6 people. Unfortunately, while that was incredibly realistic for how it was done at the time, it also comes at the disadvantage of this is how people still think the procedure happens, and many people don't even know that ECT is still actually performed. I don't want to say fairly regularly, but it is an established treatment still for severe mood disorders, suicidality, chronic suicidality anyway, treatment-resistant depression and bipolar disorder can potentially be helped with ECT, but that's a story for another day. But yes, the depiction in the film is very accurate for its time. However, it is no longer done that way anymore. We use anesthesia, muscle relaxants, you're not even awake, and you're not riding off the table and being held down and breaking bones like many people did back in the day. So, inaccurate depictions in media often doesn't help the stigma. Another thing that doesn't help, and this one drives me crazy. Dare I say that because I'm about to literally explain why saying things like that is not helpful. The use of severe mental illnesses, mental disorders, whatever it may be, just general terminology to the field, using them in everyday language has kind of become a thing in the last several years. Much like, when I was in middle school, anything that a kid didn't like, the homework, the teacher, the classes, the whole damn school, who knows, everything was gay, that sort of thing, and all of that. It's really the same kind of way. People have taken to using these terms such as the weather is bipolar or so-and-so is crazy. These are damaging and devaluing terms to people who really do suffer from these conditions. Because last I checked, the weather is not really manic depressive. Yeah, no. Just the idea is actually pretty funny. But no, the weather is not bipolar. And the thing is, there's so many other words that you can use to describe things like the weather, things that happen in the world, but yet people would rather use medical terms and disorders to describe something that doesn't even remotely make sense. Is it so hard to say that, wow, the sun's out today, it's beautiful outside, the weather is great, it's pouring rain, the weather is wet, the weather's a pain in the ass. You could say 100,000 other things, more than that probably, but people that want to use terminology like this is not helpful at all, and it's really annoying to me personally. So don't do it, okay? Good answer. All right, we're going to crumple that up. I don't even want to think about that anymore. So here's another thing. Mental disorders being treated as though they are a choice. Now, for those who saw the last video, not the last video, like 3 videos ago now, but the video I did a little bit ago on coming out, in my case as gay, I had a nice little graphic up on the screen. It was my first green screen video, I think, where I had a nice breakdown of the same kind of topic. Being gay is a choice, or whatever it is a choice. And I said, well, according to this fancy chart I found, it basically says exactly what I was going to say anyway. Why would anyone choose to be gay? Why would they choose to be assaulted and bullied and discriminated against to the point of losing jobs, to the point of self-harm, suicide, all of it? It all happens, right? This is the real world. The same thing applies here. And I said that in the video. I said coming out as gay is the same process as coming out as mentally ill to somebody. It takes the same amount of courage. It takes the same amount of insight and knowledge and comfort in yourself. All these sorts of things. The process is really almost exactly the same. So, yeah. But I also said it's really the same theory in the way that people think it's a choice. And again, I challenge you to think of any reason in the world why somebody would choose to be severely mentally ill. Why would I choose to have weeks of hypomania? I'm flying through work. I'm taking phone calls. I'm typing faster than ever. I'm talking faster than ever. My mind is just racing. I literally might sleep for an hour or 2 a night and feel like I slept for 12 hours straight. I don't need sleep at all. There's so many thought processes, video ideas, there's shows I'm binging, games I'm playing, whatever it is. Just constantly moving. And then crash into depression for like months. And have no motivation. Can't get out of bed no matter how much sleep I get. I feel like I slept for like 2 minutes maybe, if I'm lucky. And it's the total opposite. Why would I choose that? Why would I choose self-harm to try to regulate my emotions over, I don't know, just listening to music or just not doing it in the first place? You know, nobody would choose that. And so again, I say, it's not a choice. Nobody's choosing to be mentally ill. I assure you. I literally could interview 1 million people on this planet right now who are mentally ill. And one of them would ever say, well, I woke up today and I thought today would be a good day to be anxious. You know, I've got a big work presentation or meeting. You know, I've got this test at school. I have this show I'm performing tonight with my band. Today's a great day to not be able to get out of bed, to have no motivation, to feel like you're a damn zombie, slogging along with no sleep, you know, yeah, no, nobody chooses this. But anyway, again, the lack of knowledge and awareness is really where this comes at again. It's all about the stigma. It's all about how do we get so much stigma. This is the biggest reason. That's why it's here again. Realistically, it should be on the start of every slide for every reason, because it really is the biggest thing. That is a huge, huge problem, I feel. And I think many other people would agree. If you agree, like the video, comment down below. Let me know what you really do think. But yes, the lack of knowledge about the severity, not just the worst case scenario, the lowest of the low, worst case scenario, but the range of the severity, the potential severity of bipolar disorder, of depression, of anxiety disorders. The reason they are disorders and the reason they have to be diagnosed so carefully and treated so carefully by mental health professionals is because they are disorders. Yes, everybody in life is going to be depressed. Every person in life is going to be nervous and or anxious. It's when it rises to levels that negatively impact your life, your ability to maintain relationships, your ability to hold down a job, your ability to go to a store to go shopping for food that you need, or go somewhere new that you're not familiar with. Your anxiety's through the damn roof. That's how it is. I'm the person that will drive to a farther grocery store where I know where things are, and I'll pay more money there or not get as good deals there as I would at Giant maybe. If I don't know where something is, I will go somewhere else. I'll drive farther. I will spend more money there. I won't get as good deals. But that's me. I would rather know where things are because I can't be bothered to walk around a store for an hour having to ask somebody where something is, or just fumble through a whole store trying to read every sign in the aisles. It's a nightmare. I refuse to go to. I hate going to new places like that. It's just so stressful. It's true. That's when it becomes a disorder. That's when it really, really affects your life and your functioning. That's why that's why it is what it is, right? And people who say that it's all about faking and exaggerating symptoms of disorders for personal gain, for sympathy, or whatever, jealousy, whatever it may be, this is an actual thing in the medical world. It's called malingering. It's exactly what the definition is. It's not technically a mental disorder per se. It's not found in the DSM as far as I've ever heard. But it is a real medical thing. It is something a doctor would be able to rule out or suggest as an issue that might be going on. But the prevalence of people who are mentally ill who do this, knowingly, willingly, for some personal gain, like I said, is incredibly low. And this is another huge misconception that people have. The severity of people's disorders is something that should be taken very seriously. It's not something that should be thought of lightly or thought that it's just some weird exaggeration or joke. And finally, I know I made a whole video on this 2 videos ago, I believe it was, because the last one was the self-harm video, and I will link that probably at the end of this video. But I made a whole video on the myth-busting little series thing it seems I'm doing with these videos on therapy and medication. And in that video, I went through several different things that I hear and see all the time, things I want to clear up specifically on medication and therapy and beliefs that people have about them. And the biggest thing of that, the biggest point of that video, I said if you take nothing else away from this video, get this. Medication and or therapy, they are used to treat and manage mental health symptoms. And for that purpose, they can be very effective and very beneficial. However, they are not a one-size-fits-all treatment modality, right? There's hundreds of medications, and I've been on 11 of them now, and I've had horrific reactions, as you all know from the second video on the whole channel, where I discussed the medications I've been on and some of the negative effects I've had. And yeah, it was the worst time of my life. And this was only last June, like last April to June-ish, something like that. I was on these Abilify and the medicines, and it was just a nightmare. It reacted so horribly to my body. Every person is different. I've read wonder reviews of that drug. Not me. You know? So they are not cures. That's the big point. They are not cures. They are not fix-all solutions for mental disorders. They can manage symptoms. They can allow you to live with less anxiety. You can go to the store. You can get out of bed easier. You can improve your functioning and quality of life and reduce symptom severity. But at the end of the day, it's not going to cure your bipolar disorder. You can lessen manic episodes, things like that. Sure. Again, that's managing symptoms. That's not curing a disorder. And that's very important to know. Right? So finally, all mentally ill people are violent. We know that this is not true from research. Majority of mentally ill people are not violent or dangerous to others. If anything, the only real danger they might have is to themselves, right? Because the suicide and self-harm rates are much higher in this area than the average population. And almost half of the population of the U.S., 46%, are going to experience some form of a mental disorder at some point in their life. Now, this doesn't have to be some serious, severe mental disorder like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or BPD or any personality disorder for that matter. But it could be just depression, anxiety, panic attacks, anything. It doesn't have to be top tier severity list. But most people are going to encounter that. Almost half the population at some point in life. Whether you lose job or life just doesn't work the way you wanted it to go. Right? We've all had that. And the current figures show that 82.9% of people with bipolar disorder have marked serious impairment. And that is actually the highest impairment rating for any mood disorder in the DSM. And I have the link to that article down in the description below, per the National Association, or I don't remember if the A is Association or Alliance. I think it's National Alliance of Mental Illness, but I could be wrong. The NAMI link. That's what everyone calls it. We'll call it the NAMI link. But I do have that in the description for you to check out as well. And finally, you made it this far. You're probably just as shocked as I am. This is now my fourth time recording this, and I'm trying to keep it below 30 minutes, and I'm at 24 now. So to me, that's a good job. I'm trying to keep things concise. I deleted like 4 slides already. These are the big 4 that I wanted to discuss. So here we are, last one. That there are less severe forms of mental disorders. Now first, right off the bat, I know that there are a range of mental disorders. This is not a surprise to anyone. I would say that drinking Mountain Dew in front of a green screen is more of a mystery and probably one of the most amusing things ever, compared to people who are surprised by the fact that there are less severe forms of mental illness. Yes, Green Mountain doing a green screen. Cool. But anyway, so everyone knows there are a range of severities when it comes to mental illness. That's how it works. However, some people use unhelpful terminology, kind of commonplace terminology, not technology, low and high functioning depression or anxiety. We'll cover that in a second. But even with things like bipolar 2 disorder, people always like to say, I've heard this so many times I've lost count. But you'll hear that bipolar 2 disorder is less severe form of bipolar 1 disorder. You could kind of say that, technically. However, factually, the differences between hypomania and full-blown mania that is present in bipolar 1 disorder, there's really only two diagnostic criteria that hypomania doesn't have. Number one would be the grandiose thinking, such as you suddenly have plans while manic to, run a campaign for President of the United States of America. And you're literally drawing schematics and writing speeches and doing this whole thing and organizing an actual thing, and you don't know the first thing about politics. Like me. I have not done such things because I know better. But a person that's full-blown manic is going to probably have some sort of very distorted cognitive thinking. And, that's kind of a bizarre, silly example, I guess. Not too many people would probably take it too seriously if you walked in the next day and I'm going to run for president. But of course, there's many other examples as well. There's, the more sad ones, the more serious ones that are usually, at least some of the reasons why a full-blown manic person will end up in the hospital. It's really to keep them safe. The danger is not just with the depression for, risk of suicide purposes. It's also while manic, but it's for the opposite reason. They are bursting with energy, and they have these ideas of grandiosity. They feel like they can fly off a building, or they can stop a bullet, or survive being hit by a moving vehicle of some sort. And these are typically some of the, ones that can potentially be lethal. And it's not even just a matter of just having this idea that you can do any of those things. It also has to do with the fact that the other condition, or not really condition, the other diagnostic criteria that is only present in full-blown mania is psychosis. And that is specific to bipolar 1 with full-blown mania. Psychosis is hallucination or delusion. So realistically, a lot of those cases that end up very, very badly for someone who's manic is because they are psychotic at the time. So, again, it's not to say that it isn't necessarily perhaps a little bit more dangerous or deadly to have bipolar 1 disorder or full-blown mania, but just phrasing it as automatically, oh, it's less severe, oh, it's not as bad, it's nothing really, at least it's not that, it's not mania, it's not bipolar 1, it's not psychosis, it's not that bad, right? It's really when people start phrasing disorders that way that it becomes more damaging, and it again limits the amount of understanding and the amount of education and awareness that we can have on these subjects. It's not to say that necessarily some of that criteria is harder to deal with. It is harder to treat. But that doesn't discredit from the severity that hypomania can do. Spending huge amounts of money. I racked up thousands of dollars on my credit card. Just buying all sorts of stuff. Music stuff. Now granted, I buy useful stuff. I say useful, I mean stuff that I literally use all the time. Whether it's just lots of clothes, technology stuff, music stuff, all the time. I mean, it's passionate, useful stuff, right? Not just something I look at once and never use again. But still, spending insane amount of money that I really didn't have on a credit card. And it took me a long time to pay off, and my mom screamed at me. And I had to try to explain, like, look, it's not just me doing it. But yes, so you can still really mess up things, spending all your money, all these sorts of things. It's still very real with bipolar 2 disorder. So don't subtract from that by using terminology like that. And again, the high and low functioning depression or anxiety, these are general terms that the public uses. These phrasings are not actual medical diagnoses of any sort. This is just not an accurate medical depiction of what this is. It seems like it could be useful description, I guess, but it's just not there. For example, if you were going to say high functioning autism, there's a separate medical term for that, a separate diagnosis for that. Asperger's. 2 of my friends actually have it. So I did some research on it because I didn't really know much about it at the time. Learned a bunch. So yeah, it's not really just as cut and dry as that. It has its own separate distinctions, and that's why it's a separate term, a separate disorder, and a whole thing of its own. So again, remembering terminology, just like the weather being bipolar. Again, I haven't seen the weather be with a therapist yet. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. But anyway, that is it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I know it's a little bit longer again. We're at 32 minutes, which is better than the 36 I did the last time I filmed. And I cut out another slide for this showing. So, like I said before, all my videos are done in one take. So, it's a lot of re-recording and stuff. But I refuse to sit down and cut up videos into 100 pieces and try to splice them together. It's just not effective for me. I really don't have time to do that. So, anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned a lot. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you won't miss another video like this one. And like the video, and I probably already told you to do that, so you've been told, like the video. And until the next time, take care and adios.